Well, after a very exciting regular season, the Yakima Valley Pippins are heading to the playoffs. They're the first-year team to win a divisional title in West Coast League history, second first-year team to make the postseason in that first year. And here they go to take on the Bellingham Bells in a best-of-3 series. Hi, everyone. This is the Pippins Playoff Preview Show. I'm your host, Ryan Berlard, the voice of the Pippins, with you here from Yakima County Stadium. We're going to have a lot coming your way here tonight. We're going to talk about this series as a whole, set you up with what to watch for, including some stats, some big keys to this series, as well as talking to some of the players and coaches. Manager Marcus McKinney will join me. We'll chat with the starting pitchers, Eli Morgan and Andrew Woods, and also some of the emerging hitters as of late, Mitch Skaggs and Justin Jacobs. Before we go any further, though, let's set up this series for you. It is a best-of-3. It will start here in Yakima. All 3 games will be at 7:05. First one will be Tuesday night right here in this ballpark. Then the series shifts up to Bellingham. That'll be on Wednesday and Thursday. That Thursday game will only be played if the series is tied after 2 games at 1-1. Otherwise, the series winner will move on to that West Coast League Championship Series and take on the winner of Bend and Corvallis, the other series here in the first round of the postseason. The Bells come in at 37-17. That's the best record in the league, which is why they have the home field advantage here in the first round. The Pippins not too far behind, though, 35-19, second best record in the league. Pippins becoming the winningest first-year team in league history, by the way, with those 35 wins this year, topping last year's Medford Rogues with 30. These two teams did play one regular season series. It was right here in Yakima at County Stadium. Bells won that one by a count of 2-1, but it was a very thrilling series throughout. In game 1, it was Eder Arrives and Brandon Williams. Those two were in a pitcher's duel throughout the night. It was a 1-1 game through 7. Then in the bottom of the 8th, though, with Arrives gone, the Pippins blew it open against the Bellingham bullpen. Mitch Skaggs, a 2-run home run, and then 3 runs coming in later in the inning against the relievers for the Bells. So a 6-1 final in favor of the Pippins in that contest. Then in games 2 and 3, the Bells squeaked by a couple different times. 1-run wins in both games. In game 2, it was a 5-4 win. That was the game the Bells had an early lead, did not look back. In game 3, though, they won it after falling behind early. The Pippins scored 5 in the second to take a 5-0 lead. The Bells, however, responded right back, a 4-run top of the third. That made it 5-4. They got 2 runs late, including one in the 9th, to break that tie ball game open. The Pippins did have a shot in both those games, though. They had the tying run in scoring position against closer David Bigelow in the 9th in both contests. Could not score him, though, and dropped both of those games again by 1 run each. Bells got that series win, a big one here, and that was a time when the Pippins were struggling. Remember, they lost 6 of 7 league games in the middle of this season. That one win in the first game of that series was the lone win in that stretch. But since then, the Pippins have gotten very hot. They won 12 of their final 13 regular season games. We're on a 10-game winning streak at one point in that stretch as well. And we're about to talk to the man who made a lot of that possible. It's the manager, Marcus McKinney, who put all this roster together and keeps executing to perfection. Here he is as we chat before this series against the Bells on the Pippins Playoff Preview Show. Well, when the WCL does its Coach of the Year voting, Marcus McKinney certainly has to be in the conversation, you'd imagine, after leading the Pippins to a 35-19 regular season record in the team's first year. We chat with him before this series against the Bellingham Bells. And first off, let's look back to that regular season. 35-19, more wins than any first-year team, first-year team to win a division as well. When you look back on this first year, what would you kind of say to recap it and how impressive it's been for you guys?
Well, it's been very rewarding, for all parties involved. The city. My assistant coaches have done a phenomenal job just with development and some things that they've been able to do for our team's success and our players' individual success. Had a great group of guys, and it's just been a really rewarding and fun summer, for all parties involved. And we understand that there's still some unfinished business, and we're very thankful for the opportunity to play in the postseason.
You've seen these guys for about 2 months now. With this team fully developed, what would you say is kind of the calling card of the face of the name of this team at this point as you guys go into the postseason?
Well, I don't know if there's one particular facet that we've really leaned on, for the full summer. We've pitched and played defense really well in spurts. I think our offense was first or second in the league in runs scored. On base percentage had to be up there. We can get it done in a lot of different ways, and ultimately it's about playing your best here at the end and putting together a game plan to allow us to score against a good club like Bellingham is really what it's going to come down to.
At least from an outsider's perspective, that first series against the Bells, really exciting. Couple 1-run games, and the one you won by a 5 was close for a while. What do you remember about that series from a couple weeks ago, and how much can you rely on what happened there as you try to prepare for this series?
Well, you take little things, from it. Obviously we've put together a scouting report as best we can for them based on, a small sample size and some other information. We know they can pitch. They know we can pitch. There's only so much that you can take. You know, there's a reason why you play the game, and you know, our roster's changed since then. I know that, you know, there's probably some things that have changed for them, and ultimately, you know, it's going to be fun for you know, both clubs.
You talk about the pitching. Obviously, that's perhaps the big key in this series. You have Andrew Woods, Eli Morgan, and Austin Woodward if needed. You got to feel confident, I'd imagine, when you have guys like that going out in a 3-game set, that they can at least give you a chance to win on all 3 nights, yeah?
Well, not only am I confident, which is one thing, the fact that our guys are confident is the most important thing, because, you know, it doesn't matter how I feel, or, you know, when it comes down to this time of the year, we're excited, you know, for these guys' opportunity, and we know that we've prepared for 54 games and some preseason games with the idea and the mindset, you know, that we'll be ready to go when the playoffs hit, and, you know, we found ourselves here. So
when you have a lengthy pitching duel like this, though, I'd imagine the bats also become important for that one team that can hit a little bit better than the other. You guys have been so deep. We talked about it earlier in the week, how your 1 through 9 depth has been there. You have confidence in those bats, too, to be able to come back around against these Bells?
Absolutely, yeah. You know, we showed against another quality team, you know, here in Wenatchee, that our depth, you know, came through, and obviously we've got some very key pieces that have had really good offensive summers for us that, you know, we'll hope to keep hot. But again, because the pressure and the expectation isn't on 1 or 2 guys, I think that just allows everybody to be calm, cool, and relaxed for what's ahead.
So you don't get home field advantage, but one of the perks is you do get to host it here first, and this crowd has been so good. They're expecting a good crowd again tomorrow. In a way, is there almost an advantage to getting to play here first and trying to take that leg up in the series?
Well, you try to take advantages from all aspects of you know, the postseason series. I think that it's big for us because I think we play well at home. We haven't been to Bellingham yet. They've obviously been here, so you know, if you're really looking, you know, to nitpick or looking for something there might be a dynamic of the series that could be interesting. But gaining momentum's big. You know, I don't care if it's on the road or at home. Even if we had home field advantage, winning that first game is huge. So the fact that we get to play that at home, and we're going to do everything we can to get the first game of the series.
Good thoughts, as always, from the manager, Marcus McKimmey, as we're back here on the Pippins playoff preview show. Down on the field at this point, behind me, you see that mound. That mound's going to host a lot of big arms here in this series. Not only this mound, but the mound at Joe Martin Field as well. Like we talked about with manager Marcus McKimmey, lots of big arms are going to throw, and pitching's obviously going to be a key to this series. If we take a look at some of the overall season numbers for these 2 pitching staffs, these are the top 2 ERAs, as they were a couple weeks ago when these 2 teams met in the regular season. The Bells had that ERA marked by an edge of 268 to 337, but those are the top 2 in this West Coast League. Also 2 of the lowest walking teams in the league, and 2 of the highest strikeout teams in this West Coast League, as well as those whips, those walk and hit per inning pitched numbers are pretty low as well. Now, as we look at that individual series and what these Pippins and Bells pitching staffs did, pretty much the same thing holds up. This was not a big scoring series by any means. Again, 2 one-run games mixed in there as well, and that one game that was separated by a 5, it was a 5-run eighth that did the difference. So if you look at those 2 sets of numbers right there, pretty similar. And once again, take a look at those bottom numbers for you. Walk to strikeout ratios, both very, very impressive, and the opponent averages both very low, especially for those Bells, holding the Pippins to just a 202 team average in that stretch. Well, we all know how important pitching is going to be. Let's take a look at some of the pitching matchups that are upcoming, the scheduled probables for this week's matchup. On Tuesday night here at Yakima County Stadium, Eder Uribe is back on the mound. He will take on Andrew Woods. Then on Wednesday up in Bellingham, Eli Morgan for the Pippins, and for the Bells it'll be Aaron Sandifer making his first start against the Pippins this year. And if necessary on Thursday up in Bellingham, Zach Johnson for the Bells and Austin Woodward for the Pippins. So those are your pitching matchups. We're going to talk to 2 of those guys here in just a moment, Eli Morgan and Andrew Woods. Those 2 have been one of the best 1-2 punches, if not the best, in the West Coast League. Morgan at 8-0 with a nice ERA down in the mid-2s. Same thing with Andrew Woods. He's 5-3 with that ERA just above 2.5. So here they are, the tandem together. Eli Morgan and Andrew Woods share their thoughts on this upcoming series against the Bellingham Bells here on the Pippins Playoff Preview Show. Pippins started the 1-2 punch of Eli Morgan on my left, Andrew Woods to my right here to begin this 3-game set against the Bellingham Bells in the postseason. Obviously, 2 guys who have had a lot of success this season, and Eli, we'll start with you. Tied in the league record for single-season wins, the only pitcher with 8 wins and no losses in league history as well. Your season has been so impressive. We'll ask you both this question, but for you, when you come into a season like this, especially just out of high school, what kind of expectations and goals do you have for yourself?
You just got to set your expectations high. I came into the season trying to win every game. I didn't win every game, but tried to come as close as possible. And I just thought to myself, I'm going to make the pitches that stick with my repertoire. I'm either good enough to get hitters out or I'm not, and figured out that I am and just stuck with the same mentality.
For you, Andrew, you're kind of on the opposite side. You're almost done with your collegiate career. When you come into a season like this, is it just about refining things, or are you still looking to add some dimensions to your game?
It's always about trying to get a little better every day, and having Coach Wells, he's really helped me get better this summer. And then there's Eli, who I just try to go out there and do whatever Eli did the night before, because he's just so good.
What kind of things, as you guys have progressed this season, have surprised you the most? Probably in a pleasant way. Have you guys been maybe caught off guard by how good these hitters are, or what has been something you haven't been expecting to find in this league?
Not a whole lot. I came in expecting good hitters, and that's what I faced. I think one thing that I've seen that I hadn't seen in the past is hitters being able to lay off some of my best pitches. Out pitches that are for balls, they take it, whereas in previous leagues, I'd get a swing and a miss. That's something I've had to adapt to.
How about the 1-2 punch that you two guys have created? Obviously, you're going to go in reverse order this time, Andrew going before Eli, but I know when we talked to you a couple of weeks ago, Eli, you were talking about how much Andrew has taught you. I know Eli's a little bit younger, but what kind of stuff can you pick up, Andrew, from a guy like Eli, seeing him go out the day before you and just mow down opponents?
It's just really easy to pick up all the good things he does because there's so much. I kind of been living my pitching career this summer by what would Eli do, and that's kind of what I go out there on the mound and think what he did the night before, just striking out guys left and right, and that's what I try to do.
Now, for both of you going into this Bellingham series, obviously last time you guys played them, it was a heavy pitcher's duel. Expect the same thing here. Neither of you guys threw against them, though, as starters, though. Given that you've seen their bats, how much can that help you guys as you go into this series, maybe not having shown yourself yet, and how much more can you exploit them in that case?
Well, we saw Brandon Williams go in there and strut them down, strike out 11 of them, and not an overpowering guy, but a guy that keeps them off balance. So both of us are going to have to work our best to keep them off balance all game.
Yeah, with you, Andrew, especially being in that game one start, how important, especially being here and taking care of that home field advantage, is it for you guys to come out on the right foot in the beginning of this series?
Oh, yeah, you obviously want to get game one and take all the momentum, and then, go out game two and end the series and get ready for the next one. So that's what we're going to go out and try to do tomorrow.
Again, Andrew Woods on Tuesday, Eli Morgan, the probable starter for Wednesday, and then if necessary, Austin Woodward gets the nod on Thursday night up there in Bellingham. We've talked all about the pitching, and obviously that's going to be important, but in a series filled with good pitching, sometimes it's actually more about the bats and who can get that job done a little bit better. Last time these two met, it was the Bells bats who swung just a little bit better. They hit 265 to the Pippins 202, as we saw earlier over the course of those 3 games. Now, time to look at an X factor for each team, man, that might be able to make a big difference in trying to punch through. We start with the Pippins. Obviously, you look to Vince Fernandez, first of all, a guy that has a whole lot of success lately. He's the new record holder for home runs and RBI in the West Coast League in a single season with 10 and 51 respectively. Comes off a big weekend in Wenatchee. How about Mitch Skaggs, though, as well? He's a guy that really succeeded against Bellingham last time these two met. Skaggs was 4 for 12 in that series. All 4 hits were for extra bases, 3 doubles, a home run, that big home run on Tuesday, and 4 RBI over the course of the 3 games against the Bells. Now, for Bellingham, we're looking at Garrett Harple. He's one of my guys to watch for the Bells this week. Harple in that series against the Pippins played in games 2 and 3, hit 3 for 7 over the 2 games he played, had an RBI and also flashed the leather very well in the field. But we are talking about the bats, and as we do that, we talk about Mitch Skaggs, also Justin Jacobs, 2 of the guys that have really emerged in the back half of the year for the Pippins. We sit down to chat with them and hear what's working for them as they approach the playoffs here in the Pippins Playoff Preview Show. Well, these are 2 of the big bats as we go into the postseason. Obviously, Vince Fernandez is one of the guys the Pippins talk about a lot, but Justin Jacobs to my left, Mitch Skaggs to my right, also big contributors. And Mitch, I want to start with you. You really turned it around, really slow start to the year, and maybe not what people were expecting from you. But what has changed for you? What have you done to stay patient in this situation? And as you head into the postseason, actually put up a nice 241 average.
I'd have to say just try not to get frustrated. When you're struggling. Probably the best thing to do is just keep your head up and just keep going after it, and that's what I did. And about halfway through the season, I'd say, is when things started to turn around, and I started seeing the ball real well, and was able to make some contributions.
And Justin, not quite a slow start for you, but you've really come on late. And I know when we talked a couple of weeks ago, one of the things you talked about, and I've heard other guys talk about as well, is getting ahead in count and not letting it get too deep. Is that something, hearing it so often, is it something that guys just need to go through to realize, or what is it about getting ahead of everything counts that's so hard at times to do?
I think it's something that every coach teaches, getting
hitting early in counts so you can get better pitches to hit. And I've really focused on doing that so I can see better pitches and not worry about hitting off-speed pitches and just driving fastballs and just trying to stay consistent every day and keep playing the way I am.
Curious to get both your thoughts on this. We'll stay with you, Justin, for a sec. You guys have been 1 through 9 all year. A really deep squad. Obviously, you have some bigger bats in the order, but how much has that helped guys like yourself and guys like Mitch, who we'll talk to in a sec, to not feel like there's so much weight when you have 8 other guys in the order that can contribute?
Yeah, it's awesome. Some days I won't have a good night, but there's 8 other guys in the lineup that can do the job just as well as I can, and we just have a lot of faith in each other because everyone's really been swinging the bat pretty well. So even when our best hitters aren't playing well, other guys will pick them up. We're all just working together.
Does that help you too when you're trying to maybe earlier in the year bounce out of a slump when you have 8 other guys producing around you, maybe take some of that pressure off?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, just all throughout the league, there's a bunch of talent, and on our team especially. So just like Justin said, there's 8 other guys in the lineup that are great college baseball players and able to get the job done. So.
Really exciting series a couple weeks ago when Bellingham was here. What do you guys remember about it? I'll go to you, Justin, for this. I mean, obviously pitchers were the big thing in that, and how do you guys as an offensive crew come through in that situation?
I mean, yeah, we're definitely going to hope that our pitchers keep backing us up the way they've been doing. Our pitchers have been throwing well, and we got to definitely score some runs for them and make sure they can keep us in the game and just keep producing.
Lastly, for you, Mitch, in a series like this, does the mentality change at all when you go in knowing that perhaps runs are going to come more at a premium, or do you just have to keep doing the same old thing?
Yeah, I don't think so. We go into the same way every game with the same approach, and I don't think playoffs will be any different. It'll be a little bit different atmosphere, but as far as our game plan goes, I think it'll be the same as it has been all year.
Well, my thanks to Mitch Skaggs and Justin Jacobs for sitting down to chat here on the Pippins playoff preview show. Also, thanks to Marcus McKinney earlier on and Eli Morgan and Andrew Wood. Should be a great series here between Bellingham and Yakima Valley. If it's anything like that regular season series, this could be a whole lot of fun to decide who goes on to play Bend and Corvallis, that winner in the West Coast League's championship series. We look at that bracket one more time. On one side, at Pippins and the Bells, Elks and the Knights on the other side. They meet in the middle. It all starts on Saturday. But this first round, it starts Tuesday night right here at Yakima County Stadium. Tickets are still available. They're online at pippinsbaseball.com. You can call the office at 509-575-HITS. Whatever you do, try not to get them at the door. Lines are expected to be long, so if you can get them ahead of time, it's going to make your night a whole lot easier. You can be sure you'll be in your seat by first pitch as these Pippins and the Bells go at it. This has been the playoff preview show. Thanks again to all my guests for joining me, and thanks to you fans for being with us all season long. Can't wait to see you here at Yakima County Stadium. But for everyone that's made this possible, my name is Ryan Rillard saying so long from County Stadium. You've been watching the Pippins Playoff Preview Show right here on PippinsBaseball.com.